Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is HNN, the Holotable News Network. Is you're not even remotely close to around the clock Star Wars galaxy of news, reactions, reviews, theory crafting, and more source. Oh man, it's been a minute. I am Celiac Sarah, one of your hosts, and today we are joined by my new distinguished co-host, the one and only, everyone's favorite uncle, Pico Burrito. How are you?
Good evening. I am so excited to be here. Huge shoes to fill. Uh, the plan was to kind of ease into tonight with a maybe low-key show with not a whole lot of updates. And then, man, I kind of feel like the weather guy who was brought on. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, there were like 3 presidential assassinations tonight. We need you to go live on air. Like this is a panic moment for me a little bit right now. So, but I'm looking forward to this.
No need to panic. I mean, you're not new to HNN. You've been on here before.
Yeah, I think the joke was, every time that you and I have just been on a show together, we've been to talk about TV, and there was no plans to talk about TV at all tonight. And then, CG decided to give us a little bit of information dump that we'll get into. So really excited to be here.
Yeah, they overloaded my brain today. Oh man. Okay, so let's hop into it. We cannot possibly go over everything because there's just so
Not at
much.
all.
So we're gonna go over four main things. The first one being that we have a new co-host. But like you mentioned, they dropped the road ahead today, which I personally was not expecting. I thought maybe next week. They gave us the last set of Java requirements and a new marquee for Java. So, where should we even start?
So I think the road ahead is going to be a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe let's bite off something we can chew on a little bit. Maybe we jump into talking about the new character Boosh.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say it that way. It's just Boosh. It's fun to say. A super awesome character. So
Oh
good
man.
place to start.
Yeah. Let's do it. Okay. So she is the last marquee we need for Java.
Yep, absolutely. Um, and I don't think this was a surprise to anyone that she was coming. I think there was maybe 2 or 3 characters everyone thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping for Bib Fortuna, but I think there's something there. Well, we'll talk about that coming up. But this is Boosh is one of my favorite characters of all time. I remember the toy. It was like the first toy I ever had that the helmet came off, and I used to put it on my pinky finger, and it was great. But this will be awesome. So, how do you want to do this? Do you want to read through the kit, and then we'll kind of talk through the pieces?
Yeah, I
Because you haven't gone over it, right? Yeah,
I
right.
haven't looked at her kit. The only
Okay.
thing I know is that her Omicron is for raids because everyone
Yep.
was like talking about her Omicron being a raid Omicron, which like valid because it's the first one. So, oh, I didn't know she was a leader.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so I mean, we all kind of knew she was gonna have the light side tag and then Hut Cartel, Scoundrel, Bounty Hunter, but leader I didn't expect. Okay. Oh, this is also the first kit that I've read since they've combined the
Yeah.
kit and the dev insights. So I'm realizing I need to skip over a bunch of this stuff.
Which, by the way, huge props to CG for doing that. Like, it's amazing how little changes like that just turn out to be just so much better to read than having to go here and there and jump back and forth between the two. So I loved it.
Well, and it just makes sense too when you think about it because some people miss things that are only in the dev insights because they're only reading the kit.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of nice to have it all in one spot. Okay, so her basic ambidextrous assault, deal special damage to target enemy and inflict the thermal for 2 turns. If the ally in the leader slot is Hut Cartel, this attack can't be evaded. If the ally in the leader slot is Bounty Hunter, inflict defense down for 2 turns. If it's Bush's turn and the ally in the leader slot is Smuggler, attack again. Okay.
So what's interesting on this is because we now have 4 light side bounty hunter characters. So in theory, she could be there's a chance she may be a leader in that case. So that's 2 thermal debts and a defense down, kind of coming out of that kit. And as we kind of go back in, there's a weird piece to this that she may be a leader
Right.
in certain cases. So yeah,
Which is interesting because, I mean, like, I didn't expect her to have the leader tag, and I just kind of assumed she would, like, just go under Jabba's lead.
yeah,
So,
yep. And I think the other thing, one, I think the animation is pretty cool, but I was thinking as I was looking through the animations, they didn't have a lot to work with this character because really her entire screen time is literally walking in, holding up a thermal detonator, talking for a couple of minutes, and then taking off the helmet, and that's it. So
yeah.
that a lot of creative liberties when it comes to this character. So
Which is good. I think that's very fair.
yep.
Okay, so then she has one special cooldown of 3 called Inventive, which is also clever since you just mentioned they were creative with their kit. Okay, so she's going to deal special damage to all enemies and detonate all thermal detonators, then inflict a thermal detonator for 2 turns to all enemies. Okay.
So boom goes the dynamite. Everybody gets more dynamite. That's the mix that we're running in this case.
Okay, and then her unique, or she's got 2 uniques. Fearless is a Zeta. She is immune to fear. At the start of battle, she gains 1 stack of My Kind of Scum until the end of battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. At the start of the encounter, all enemies gain Deadly Bluff for 3 turns. At the end of each turn, if an enemy with Deadly Bluff was inflicted with any thermal detonators, inflict an additional thermal detonator for 2 turns. If all allies were Hutt Cartel at the start, enemies with Deadly Bluff can't attack out of turn, and if they have both Deadly Bluff and thermal detonators, they lose 25 speed. If the ally in the leader slot is Cartel and not a Galactic Legend, interesting, she's immune to turn meter manipulation. She will assist once per turn whenever another Hutt Cartel ally uses an ability during their turn and the target enemy has Deadly Bluff. So My Kind of Scum is plus 10% max health and defense, and Deadly Bluff, she just, gains additional effects. It's just this debuff. Oh man, okay. I feel like that was like a mouthful.
So the way I guess when I read it earlier that so there was in the dev insights they called out something specific that I don't think is clear in the kit.
Mm-hmm.
Deadly Bluff starts at the beginning of the battle. It's there for 3 turns, and I don't believe there's any way to get it back. So you get it for 3 turns and do all the stuff you can, and then at the end of 3 turns, it's kind of like, all right, she pulls the helmet off. Like that's kind of the way that I look at it. Is she's showing up, she's pulling a trick, and then she takes the helmet off, and everything kind of turns into the rest of the show from that side. But
yeah, so I guess once it's gone, it's gone.
Right. Because I don't think there's anywhere else in the kit that she gets it back. And I think the other interesting piece is she has a part of her kit that's specifically designed not to have the Galactic Legend in it. Like that to me is the really unique piece. And when we talk about some of the other pieces in the road ahead, I think that leads a lot of questions as to kind of what this awesome new territory battle that we're going to get, and will she always be attached to Jabba's hip? Because I think the assumption was she would always be kind of married to that, right, to him as a character. So
yeah, this is going to be interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
This just makes me more curious to see what Jabba's kit looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so then her unique is the Omicron. So this is the one for raids. I'm going to say this wrong. Ubis Ogian cloak? Ogagian? I'm totally saying this wrong. And people
not going to lie, this is why I wanted you to read the kit.
Okay, so whatever this Ubis cloak thing, her unique. So Boosh and Lightside Smuggler allies gain 5% armor penetration, 15% offense, 10% potency, and 10 speed. If the ally in the leader slot is Hot Cartel, Boosh, and Lightside Smuggler allies are immune to ability block and stun. That's nice. And
Yep.
the bonuses are doubled. Lightside Smuggler allies gain 20% critical chance. And then while in raids, the max cooldown of Inventive, which is her special, is reduced by 1. So it goes from 3 to 2. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. If the ally in the leader slot is Hut Cartel, when Fearless inflicts a thermal detonator, all Hut Cartel allies gain 10% armor penetration, max 200%, 20% offense to a max of 400%, and 20% potency, max 400%, and 10 speed, max 100. That's an interesting Omicron.
And if you look at Fear, I got to go back through and look at, so at the end of every turn, so for the first 3 turns, as long as they get a thermal detonator, all of those numbers increment by 10% on there.
Right. Okay.
So it's gonna jump up really, really quick at the start.
Wow.
I think the big question though is, are we getting another raid? I don't think so, at least right away. Because if we're gonna get some new PvE content, we're good for 6 to 12 months. This is probably a huge bonus, I think, probably for folks that might be struggling a little bit for CPIT. And interesting, you don't need to be able to beat CPIT to get Java.
You're right.
So it almost feels like, because there's some folks saying, and we'll get into the road ahead, that maybe Java's a little aligned to early or mid-game players, a kind of early Galactic Legend, and just does it help a lot of those people out to start getting towards some of these things like Profundity and some of these other teams that need, Executor, that kind of need that CPIT to get that on farm so they can start getting some of those relic materials.
That's a really great point, because I think that's what like a lot of people were looking at when they read this. I read this a lot, and I know you probably did too, because we're in a lot of the same servers. People were like, well, what do you need an Omicron in raids for? Like, everyone's beating these. And it's like, well, if there isn't a new raid coming, then it's probably not meant for you. It's meant for other people. So, that actually, though, is a very, like, I think if I was in a guild that was struggling, I would probably eye this Omicron, because it sounds really intriguing.
Or even if I'm in a guild that can beat CPIT, but I struggled to get to the top 5, or maybe this lets me get to consistently into the top 5, which again gets better payouts and all of those other things that kind of pile up behind it. I think there's some use here. Again, I don't think it's for you and I, and where we said
right.
I mean, I joked the other day, like, do we still do CPIT? Because I'm not sure I've actually logged in to do it in the past 6 months. But
I joked today that I just ignore the word raid.
Yeah. So
yeah,
but no, I think there's some value in here for certain folks that are at certain points in the game, especially again as we kind of look at the rest of the Java requirements. It's really friendly kind of mid game. I think I really do think it is there. So
yeah, I agree. Okay, so then her leadership is Brutal Bargainer. So Bounty Hunter allies gain 25% max health and protection, and enemies with Deadly Bluff lose 25% tenacity. At the end of each turn, dispel all buffs on enemies with both Deadly Bluff and Thermal Detonator. Okay, so her contract is to defeat an enemy with damage from Thermal Detonator. So you want them to go boom.
Yep.
And it can be any enemy, as long as they go boom. Okay. So once that happens, all of them get their payouts activated. They will also be immune to stun, and enemies can't be revived. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
So her payout, she needs to inflict 3 thermal detonators for 2 turns on all enemies. And then ambidextrous assault and inventive, so her basic and her special inflict 1 additional thermal det until the end of battle. If all allies were Hut Cartel at the start of battle, the cooldown of inventive is reset and the max cooldown is reduced by 1. So theoretically, you could have her special, once she gets once you get the contract every turn.
Yes. No, every other did it. Oh no, you're right. You're right, because it's that's in raid. I think it's that would only be in raids that, yeah, because the other
Right.
cooldown
Okay.
is tied to the Omicron. But so if she's in the lead, or it's a smuggler in the lead, cartel smuggler in the lead, she's now dropping 3 thermal debts on basic, and then using her basic again, so that's 6.
Right.
And then on her next turn, she uses inventive, which blows all of those up and then drops another 3 on top of everyone.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
I feel like things are just gonna go boom
Yeah.
all the time.
And you give her Zam, you give her Greedo, you give her Cad Bane. I mean, all of the hot bounty hunters that everyone wants on other teams. But it's
Right.
and I think, yeah, I do think the payout's going to be hard, or for her contract is going to be hard. Because unless you can, I guess it depends on how many of the thermal detonators you can stack up with basics before you blow them all up. It's kind of like the Jawa thing, where you got to get enough of them built up before it blows up. But once she's in the payout, I mean, that's going to be pretty crazy.
Yeah. This is. I don't know. She sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think she's gonna break anything. I think she's just gonna blow stuff up.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. That's all it's going to be. So.
Okay, so that's her kit.
Yeah.
Man. I feel like this is a good. I didn't even read the insights. Was there anything in the insights that stuck out to you?
Not really. Actually, the one thing in the kit that they didn't call out, but in the kit, if you read it, she synergizes really, really well with the other light side bounty hunters because of her unique one. All those stats that she gets, they all get double those numbers. So I think that Lando makes or Scando makes a good reason to stick them together. We'll see kind of how the bounty hunters play. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is all of a sudden we've got this huge pile of bounty hunters to do a lot of cool stuff with, and Jabba's even got some other Hutt cartel stuff that I think is going to kind of work there as well. So it'll be interesting kind of how they all shake out.
Yeah, it's gonna be a ton of fun.
Yep.
I'm just laughing at this little line. Today's kit reveal is explosive. Okay, so I feel like this is a good transition just to highlight the other requirements for Jabba, because obviously they gave us Boosh. I only expected to be given Boosh, but they gave us the rest of his requirements. So she has to be Relic 5.
Yep.
Aura Singh's Relic 6, which Relic 6 is such a weird. Like, it's a nothing.
I hate it.
Right?
I have like 2 characters on my roster that are Relic 6, and I just, every time I see them, I'm like, I should take them up to 7. It's either 5 or 7. 6 shouldn't exist. So yeah.
Right?
It's an odd one.
It's like you're stuck in like limbo.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Fennec at Relic 7, which, I mean, I know like where we are at, sorry, we have her there. Like, I already have her at Relic 7. She just hits so hard. Boba at Relic 7, which was a gimme, I believe.
Yeah.
And then Mob Enforcer at Relic 3.
Yeah, and I think on both Fennec and Boba, if you don't have them up that high, those are gifts from CG, because those are 2 characters, again, that Fennec is just amazing and is used in so many counters, and Boba is just a great plug-and-play character to use on a lot of different teams. But at Relic 7, he just hits like a truck as well. So, pushing them up in that to that level, I think, are just great fits, and it'll help rosters in general. And we actually didn't even have this in the notes. Mob Enforcer got a kit rework as well today. I'm not sold on it. I think I need to see what the rest of the road ahead looks like. But her kit is really easy. The kit read. She puts out thermal detonators. The thermal detonators blow up. and things go boom.
Things
So,
go boom.
but the new model is awesome. The new model is
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal.
I'm so happy they retouched her because
Yeah,
she looked so janky before. some of
like
these some of these launch characters, like, they clearly have not been touched since launch,
yeah,
and they've put all of this work into like the framework of the game and the foundation to get all these nice graphics, and then you look at these older characters and it's just so sad sometimes. But yeah.
Jedi training Rey is going like, look, I'm a legendary character, and I mean, look at me compared to this new thing. So
Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah. So I am very surprised that they did not include a Relic 9
I
in
am
this.
I am as well. In fact, the only R8 was Han, at what,
Yeah.
6 or 9 weeks ago. So I mean, there's been a lot of time from that side as well. Um, and I think outside of Han, everyone else is Hut Cartel.
Yeah. And theoretically, because I know like a lot of people were sitting on their Relic 8s and Relic 9s, especially with Profundity,
Yep.
because they wanted the first bits of Relic material to be removed, like they said they would be, in the State of the Galaxy. We should see that soon because the title
Yeah.
update's gone through. It's been data mined, so we should get a title update soon. So theoretically, like, if you were going after Jabba and you don't have Han at Relic 8, you could just wait, like
Yep.
get the material and stash it, and then wait for that title update to hit, because they didn't confirm that relic change was tied to the title update, but a lot of people are speculating it is.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah. Oh yeah. We also have Vaughn just corrected this in chat. Jawa and or are in.
That's
are
right.
in the
Yep. I
requirements.
forgot about those too.
So
Yeah.
a couple that aren't Hut Cartel, but overall, it's not awful.
They asked you to relic a bunch of characters that you're going to use with the Galactic Legend. Um, yes, there's three marquees, and that's difficult for a lot of folks, especially to get them first time around, because I don't think Stanton is farmable yet. And it's going to be a panic farm, or it's going to be a panic buy when Boosh is finally available to, because it's probably going to drop right about the time that she hits shipments. Its job is going to come right behind that. But, even if you're looking at, if you're building a plan for 6 to 12 months, pushing this out, if your plan is this time next year to target Jabba, I mean, everyone else will be up in relics, and then all of a sudden you're accelerating those characters, and he's just going to be a super easy Galactic Legend for people to get their hands wrapped around. And I think that's good. I think getting GLs into hands of people is a positive, especially with some of the changes coming up. Although this TB, I think is probably part of the reason why they're making Jabba a little bit easier to get, because I think we're just going to see him all over the place.
Right. Yeah, I am thinking that's why they did make him a little bit more accessible, if that's even the right word.
Yep.
But yeah, because we're going to see him in TB. You're also going to see his missions in Hoth or Geo.
Yep.
So even if you're still doing Geo and you get him, like, it's not totally unusable there. I'm curious to see how that will work, since it sounds like he's going to have like a mixed alignment squad.
Yep.
And if they're going to force you to only go dark side or light side. But it sounds like you're going to see him there and then elsewhere in the game, I would assume, as well. So
I think the big question, especially as it comes to GOTB, is he going to be worth like 2 million ship deployment?
I mean,
he's as big as a starfighter, so maybe that's how they're going to plan on closing that gap for that last piece.
That gap's never going to get closed otherwise. Like, it's just forever going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Jabba. And obviously we don't have his kit and we don't know when he's coming, but
we don't, but in the video they talked about a couple of things for Jabba and what to expect. He will be the first support character, first Galactic Legend support character, as well as the first non, force wielding character. Uh, they said a lot of he will not be passive, so don't expect it. I think that there are a lot of people thought like maybe he'll be like a 3PO or a Watt or something similar to that case. He is going to be a direct damage dealing character. That it sounds like it's going to be a lot of, probably targeted assists or called assists in a lot of those cases. Salacious B. Crumb is going to do an attack, is what it sounds like, or that's going to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you haven't watched the video, go watch the video because his ultimate is going to be the Rancor.
It like that video was so well done.
Yeah,
Um,
phenomenal, phenomenal.
I mean, I was saying to you earlier, I didn't know if I should read the post or watch the video
Yeah,
first, and I ended up reading it because Discord was exploding,
yeah,
and I was like, I'll just read this really quick, and then I was like, oh, there's not enough info here, which is the same for the video, but there is more in the video.
yep.
So definitely, it's embedded right at the top of the Road Ahead post. Just watch it, because it's real good.
Look, I'm a cranky old man, and if you tell me I have to watch a video, I don't like it. And when I click the link, I mean, my wife in the other side of the house was like, "What's wrong?" When I clicked it, I was like, I couldn't believe it was 15 minutes. I'm like, they expect me to sit here for 15 minutes, but it was really well done. Uh, I don't think they talked about what the rank you'll be able to use the rank orb multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't say what's going to happen if you use it on a raid boss or a galactic legend, but it will not eat them. But I don't know. I just want to eat all four characters besides galactic legend. That's my goal. So how do I drag this out so I can just eat everyone?
I'm super curious to see this ultimate. I can't wait to read his kit. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't. I mean, not that I wasn't sold on Jabba as a galactic legend. I was just kind of like, okay, like what's he gonna do? But they're definitely hyping him up, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so that's Jabba. That's Boosh. I guess we can just continue on with the road ahead because
Yeah.
we're in it. Do we want to talk about territory battles? Because we
Yes.
always talk about territory battles.
I mean, look, in reality, I don't know how you read this, the Java piece I saw, and I'm like, all right, I'll go back and look at it. And then I saw the map,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, it's happening. It's
Right.
it's really happening. And I have never been so excited to be wrong about what the next territory battle is going to look like. We've talked about this in the past. I thought it was going to be Endor. I just thought
Yeah.
tied to the time frame. But I think the concept that they have here it's phenomenal. It's so smart.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it a little bit, and then we can kind of maybe break it down some. So, do we want to read it, or we want to just kind of high level it? Because that's a lot of words.
I mean, so there isn't a lot really that they've written out about it.
Yep.
A lot of the info is in the video, so like,
Yeah.
if you haven't watched it again, you just got to watch it again. I will say what I like, and I agree with you. I did agree I did think it was going to be Endor. I like how they're doing this. So what they've kind of said is, okay, so this one they've called it Rise of the Empire, which is it's supposed to take place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And it's all about Empire hunting down Jedi, the last of the Jedi, which is your first clue, in my opinion, that Inquisitors will be needed. That is your first clue. Like,
Yeah.
if you need someone to hit you over the head with a hint, that's the one that they're gonna do it with. But I really like, and obviously it says right in the post this is concept art and not final. It looks cool. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that it's modular and they're gonna be able. This is just smart planning on their part because you're gonna be able to tweak territory battles without having to design a new map.
Yep. Absolutely.
And you can keep it relevant to what, and this is the thing that they did say this in the video, they want to keep it relevant to what's happening with what the storyline that Disney is telling, what's happening in the shows. So, Andor's coming, Bad Batch, like all of these shows are coming out, Ahsoka's coming. They're going to be able to tie that into territory battles and give different rewards. So tons of questions based off what they said, and obviously it's still in development. But what were your thoughts on it?
So a couple of things. I think first, from a timing perspective, this aligns with typically a large end of year release. They're saying towards the end of the year, this will be tied to the anniversary release. So expect this to be in American Thanksgiving, the real Thanksgiving, not the Canadian one.
We just are impatient and we want to get started early.
So the idea of what they're laying out is there will be 3 paths. There'll be a light side path, a dark side path, and then neutral's probably not. I think mixed is the term that they used.
Yeah.
And now I think my first question on that is, do we play all 3?
Mm-hmm.
And now do I strategically have to build light side teams and dark side teams, and then that middle path? Like, we've seen so many teams released in the past year that are a combination of light side, dark side, whether it's this Java team that's coming in, whether it's the Star Killer squad that's coming in, Maul Mandos. There's a lot of just these mix and matches. I mean, if it's just add one light side character, like if we have to mix and match that, so I take my Separatist droids and I add BB-8, and all of a sudden now I'm a mixed team in that case, or maybe I'm mixing in some of the other droids. So I think the question is, do you pick a path and go, or do you play all 3, kind of like how we have 3 zones right now? I think there's a lot of questions, but you're spot on. This, if the idea is that instead of going into a territory and doing the fight, they can just swap planet A for planet B, and now all of a sudden that changes the model there. It starts to look a lot like what they've done with Conquest, where I've got this map that I can then change things that I need to on the fly. I think that's a great idea. You said Bad Batch, and I wasn't actually even I completely forgot that season 2 of Bad Batch is coming out, and that's the time frame that they exist in that area. I also think that I hope that they don't build the territory battle to be impossible to beat for 18 to 24 months. They can set maybe a 6-month or a 12-month target for complexity, and then as certain, as guilds start to kind of push up to that star limit, they can swap things out and just kind of increase the numbers, and then we just kind of get to keep reusing the map, but maybe the makeup of the units, and we'll see a change maybe more every 6 to 12 months, more so than 24. We're pushing 36 months on the light side as well. So but if you have slept on the Inquisitors, stop. And look, the last time I was on with you, I was critical of the state of the Inquisitors, and I will freely admit, well, I haven't been happy with the Omicron performance in TW.
Mm-hmm.
They're such a fun team to use. Like, folks, get over it. Just get over it. They're fun to use. They will be, outside of your Galactic Legends, they will be the most used team in your roster for the next year.
Right.
Hands down. There's just no other way to look at it. And we get that this is how they're going to bring Reva into the game. So Reva's going to be the first character coming out.
That's your second.
Yep. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm just so they said so many things in this video that I have all these questions for, and I mean, so it's still in development, and the developer, the game designer that was speaking about it, was saying he's hopeful that it will be ready this year, so that we will actually be playing it this year, not like ready to launch at some point in the like he said, ready to play. So whether or not that actually happens, who knows? Because it's still being designed. But they mentioned using your entire roster, which has me curious if that means we're going to be going through all 3 paths at the same time. Because he said something about efficiently using your roster to like build your teams up, or divide your roster efficiently so that you can clear each phase, I guess. So that has me kind of thinking we're going to go through all 3 paths, which also has me wondering, like, does that mean... Because right now you have 1 week of territory battles, 1 week of territory
Yep.
wars, 1 week of and it's set. Like right now we're in light side. Next week's territory wars. The week after is dark side territory battles, and it's the same pattern every 4 weeks. Since this is kind of using everything, do we only get to play it once a month? So which
Yeah.
half are you going to stick it on? Because you're not going to take that light side, dark side away from smaller guilds who
Yep.
can't do this yet. If you're not going to do that, do we get to play it twice a month? Like, I just have so many questions there in terms of the cadence.
So I'm gonna throw you an idea, and then I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay. Oh.
So the idea, there's been a lot of I've had a lot of questions. I know that like in the Bad Batch release, there was a belief that Crosshair was going to be added to that team, and I think everyone thought they were waiting because at the end of the season, Crosshair was going to go good, and turned out no, he was super evil.
Right.
Like he didn't have it. So
He bad.
now what? But now this is so. The question is like, how do you bring Crosshair into the game because he can't fit with that team? So is he just another Empire Trooper? What if he's Dark Side, Clone Trooper, Bad Batch tag? Like if they released him as that, and now all of a sudden, Bad Batch has an option for being that kind of mixed team in the middle path. Like there's a lot of things that open up the door from that side. So, but where I want to put you on the spot. So territory battle always has. We'll probably get a new get currency, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably get 3. And we always get a currency-based character.
Right, yeah.
So who's the currency-based character coming in with Get 3?
Oh, man. See, and like this is the thing is because they want to make this evolve, would that character change over time?
It could. Yeah, that's actually a great point.
I didn't even think of who the character would be with currency. Oh man, I feel like it has to be Empire related if we're going into like
or
this Empire.
Is it Hut Cartel?
Ooh.
And is it Bib Fortuna? And that's how they're going to add him in because Jabba's going to play such an important role in this. And is he going to be kind of that character that works really well? So that's write it down. Everybody put a pin in it. This is my first official bad prediction on the show. If it works, I expect everyone to say you were here when it came up. If it didn't work, we will destroy this recording.
Yeah.
Like that's the way we're going to handle it. So
burn it. Oh, I didn't even think of that. And they said like you're gonna want to as soon as you can gear Jabba, you'll want to gear
absolutely
for TV. So yeah, oh man, I like that. I like that a lot. That is a good prediction.
So I hope Crumb and Meathead are watching. I don't see them in chat, but there's some names I don't recognize. I think they're probably playing undercover right now. So.
Oh man, yeah, and this is the other question that I had about this was they mentioned Reva's going to come in. She's going to be at launch. She will be the first reward that you can earn on this map. And then they mentioned adding in different planets so they can keep following the storyline and adding rewards there. So would they potentially remove her down the line as a reward because they're adding in other ones?
That's my biggest fear of if it's a right, left, center type conversation. Choose your own adventure. So someone in our Discord said called it a choose your own adventure. I don't want to be in a situation where guilds are being they're being forced to make a decision. Which reward are we chasing? Because if you think about let's not talk about Cam. Cam's a different piece. Watt. Best case scenario, 40 shards a Watt, you're 7 or 8 months to unlock that character, and that's if everybody can do it day one.
Yeah.
Well, now if it's Reva on the dark side and it's I don't know Super Cassian on the light side, that's a difficult place to put 50 people in to decide which of the two paths you're gonna chase. Like I think that's more destructive to guilds than some of the concerns with datacrons. Oh man, we weren't going to talk about those and I went ahead and said it, but the datacrons is kind of the territory battles and GAC piece, which is why I'm leaning more and more towards Um, it's all 3 paths. You've got to balance across them, and I'm really hoping we just get to play that map twice a month.
Yeah, and like it sounds like you will want to play it twice a month
Yeah.
because like it sounds like it's going to be evolving I mean,
Yep.
not right away evolving constantly, but I mean, at the beginning, the the balance of I mean, you have some teams that are going to be very obvious in terms of who you put with them,
Yep.
that they're not going to have like a mixed team. Um, but like you said, you could get creative. You could add BB-8 to your droids, and now that's mixed.
Yeah.
You could run a sortie team with dark side
Yep.
teams on or dark side
Oh,
droids. Like
didn't even think about that.
yeah, like she could have a mixed team too, and yeah, yeah,
And the other piece that they comment on the territory battle is that it's going to start bringing some value into some of those territory battle omnicrons that a lot of us were like, well, why do I want to waste my time? Which I'm only bringing this up because everyone had told me I was terrible or it was a dumb idea for me to put one on Kyle Katarn. No,
mm-hmm.
no, no, it's going to pay off. I just didn't know at the time when I did it. But
Here it is.
there's some of those options for Rolo and that Finn one that looks really crazy. And then I don't know if there's a dark side
I don't think there's a
territory
dark side.
battle one yet, but we'll see new Omnicrons there as well. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, this is gonna be interesting though. I'm pumped.
I might actually dump that Finn Omnicron on him before phase 3 now.
I had someone message me today about the Kyle Katarn Omicron. They were using him on the Mon Mothma team, and somehow like the sniper droid, I think it was sniper droid, and they had like I don't know, two other droids, whatever. They killed Kara and Pow right away.
Yeah.
And it was a sniper droid because you couldn't revive them. They had over
Yep.
the stacks. And somehow Kyle just like, and he was like, so naturally I got 4 out of 4. Like, because Kyle just carried it. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It just worked.
Yep.
So it's gonna be really interesting here. The other thing that I'm looking at is all these different like paths sectoring off, and some of them are like dead ends. So it's kind of like, do you go that way when you know you can't go any further? Like, I just have so many questions.
Man, it's just exciting. I've been very happy with PvP over the past few months, and I was not an anti PvP player, but I think the changes they've made there are good. But man, I am excited for just good old fashioned problem solving PvE content.
Right. I've had this conversation with Zareth and other people. I'm like, same boat as you. Like I'm okay with the PvP content. I'm okay with them making changes to it. I'm like, but give us PvE or something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And here it is.
80-page territory battle guides coming in the next few months. That's what you can look forward to. So
and it was even funnier today too, because this is the first light side territory battle that we're running where streaming is not going to be mandatory for Cam, because we're finally like over that hump. It's donezo, which I'm like, yes, I can sleep a little bit during phase 3. And someone today was like, just when you thought streaming would be over.
Yeah. Hopefully they learned their lesson with light side territory battles. That's my only hope.
This is gonna be so much. Man, I just want more info. They did also highlight, on the note of territory battles, they were looking at adding like extra gear to the rewards. They mentioned this way, 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 way back in like that gear economy change that never got finished. So they never actually did this. It was for guilds that weren't getting max stars. So they did mention that they're going to address that, but they're not going to address it until closer to this territory battle being ready to launch.
Yep.
Which I think makes sense.
And I think part of that is this, they called it the smoothing of the rewards, so that for folks that are earlier in this, it's worth their time and energy to go there. They also mentioned in the video in passing something about trying to close the gap on the final stars for guilds that are up against that in light side territory battles, which and they kind of just changed direction on it really quick. So I don't know if that's going to be lowering the impossible fleet numbers, but it sounds like they have a plan to try and, get people through light
Mm-hmm.
side territory battle, or to complete that. And as I'm looking over it at the chat, KB Driven pointed out Imperial Probe Droid does have an Omnicron for territory
Oh,
battles on the dark side as well, which I forgot about. We'll have to go take a look at that, what that is a little bit later. But thank you for that.
I totally forgot that he has one. Oops. Shows you how often I use him. I'm pretty sure he's still purple for me. Uh, okay. Do you have any other territory battle thoughts?
A million and a half,
I
and
know.
no details on it, but I'm sure we'll be covering this over the next couple of months. So
Okay. Do we want to move on to mods?
yes, I
Because
think mods make sense.
this is kind of interesting. I think um, we're getting mod calibration in game.
Yeah,
So,
this is the one I'm just, man, this seems like a lot of micromanagement. I don't,
mhm.
I'm picturing the Gambit podcast spending 4.5 hours on this topic on Monday. you
This
know,
is like for the mod. Like I still,
yeah,
when I look at a mod at mod secondaries, I'm like, I think I like you. Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh, this is gonna be like for the perfectionists, or
yes,
for those of you who are like me and have like 15 6A mods where speed rolled 4 times and you're like clenching your fist at it because you were chasing that fifth roll. Um, yeah, this is gonna be very interesting. I like it. I think, in theory.
what 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 I wonder is if this is the alternative to 7 mods. So instead of
Oh,
going, up to, because part of this announcement also is that 6D through 6A slicing materials are going to go onto the table, so you'll be able to farm them, which is huge. It's
yeah.
massive. Um, but maybe we're not going to get the next incremental increase like we kind of always assumed that was going to happen, and just the ability to tweak numbers in one direction or another is how they're going to address this.
Mm-hmm. I.
Um,
That's a good point.
so
Um, I mean, I was explaining this to someone today, and I was like, this is kind of the equivalent of when you re-roll a datacron.
yep,
Like, you use the currency, so we're gonna get new currency called micro attenuators, um, and it lets you select which stats. So you can't change the secondary stats. So whatever's on there is on there, but it lets you select which one you want to take a slice from, or a roll from, and let it roll on one of the other three,
yep.
basically. And then if you don't like it, you can keep the original one, so you don't have to change your mod if you don't want to. I'm assuming it'll be like Datacrons in the sense that it will still use the currency up anyway.
Yep.
And then if you do like it, you keep it.
The other piece they said about it, I think, again, I think this is really smart what they added. You can only do it so many times per mod.
Right.
So one of the, man, we weren't going to talk about datacrons, and it's kind of hard not to do it here. But one of the challenges with datacrons right now, that there are people that are just rolling it 30, 40, 50 times to get what they want.
Which is unreal.
Throw a number at the wall. We're going to give you 5 tries on to do this. And after those 5 tries, you're done. It goes, be happy with what you have type scenario. And I think that's smart because it also, there's a huge gap between kind of the haves and the have nots with like 25 plus speed mods right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make it infinitely possible for people to continue to grow that on the high end where other folks are just trying to get access to some of these mod materials. But um, I really wonder. I don't understand enough about what's a good mod roll for me to know whether I should keep it or not.
Honestly,
Um,
I read this and I was like, I guess I'll just go roll all of those ones that have 4 slices of speed.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, that'll keep me busy for the next year.
right? I'm like, okay. So It's interesting, and this is supposed to. I think this is going live in the title update. So
I believe as well.
that one that's been data mined already. So
And the other important part here is it's only 6-star mod or 6 dot mods.
yes,
So
yes.
this is another piece of, you know, CG has done a lot of things over the past 12 to 15 months about getting your character into relics. Well, guess who can't use 6E mod, 6 dot mods, characters under gear 12 and lower. So to take advantage of this, you got to get those characters up. So there's more and more reasons to draw, don't stop at 12, go up to relic 0 and start pushing those characters up, because you're going to get there's just a lot of reason to kind of get there from that side. So
okay, so I want to read this real quick because
Yep.
Drucifer asked this in chat, and I think it's a good question. Can you remove a roll of speed and then re-roll for a higher speed? So I think in a roundabout way you could. I think what you would have to do, because you won't roll the stat that you're pulling from. You will only roll the other 3. That's how I understood it, at least.
So I think the challenge here is, this is going to be this is interesting, because pre-6 you can roll speed values of 3, 4, 5, or 6. Post 6 you can only roll 5.
Right. Oh, good point.
So if it pulls off a speed, how are you going to be sure it pulled off a 3 or a 4 and didn't pull off a 5 and reapply a 5?
Well, and then also, like, what you would have to do theoretically is apply it to protection or whatever the other stat is.
Yeah.
And then roll that one.
Bring it back the other way.
To bring it back. That's tricky.
That's a really interesting piece of, because it's like on the percentages there, you've got a range of what those values are. So which of if your 4th roll was like at the high end of the range, how do you make sure it's the 4th roll and not maybe the first one that was, like a 0.09 or something similar to that? That's oof.
Right.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions about this.
Yeah. And I don't know if they said this. I can't remember because like my brain just got overloaded. Did they say where we're going to get this currency, micro attenuator?
They did not.
So they did say, though, that this new currency is only going to be used for this calibration thing that they're introducing. So you don't have to worry about it for slicing or upgrading or anything like that. It's only for that.
My guess would be this will go into all of the places that we currently get 6D and up slicing materials. It will go into those places.
Which would make sense.
Yep.
Like, because that's where they're wanting you to slice or to do this.
Like, this is a perfect place for like galactic challenges.
Yeah.
Like to put this twice a week, you just get a payout out of it. It kind of trickles in for a period of time, and I think that's a great place for it.
Yeah. This is gonna be, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm apathetic towards mods. I think everyone knows this. So it doesn't entice me to do anything with them other than try and get some of those sad ones happier. Okay, and then they just kind of address the economy changes again. So they're addressing this whole thing that they still haven't done. So the 2 things specifically, and they just said soon. They don't actually say when. So, don't hold your breath. Gear is going to go, important gear is going to hard nodes. That they still haven't done that. So while you're farming character shards, which is huge. And then core gear to shipments for shard shop currency. Love that. The only thing that I am currently hating about this is shard shop currency is so stretched thin for me. I'm like, you got to use it on Datacron stuff. You got to use it on gear.
So let me ask, where do you sit on guild currency? Like how much guild currency do you have sitting around?
Like the orange guild currency,
Yep.
not the
Yep.
territory battle one. I think I've got like 45,000.
So I think what people are going to have to start doing, especially because they're pushing more and more into Shard Shop,
Mm-hmm.
is buying those two bottom rows of characters in the guild currency piece and just
Yeah.
converting those over there. And it's uh, one of the things that happens is people raise their rosters up is that the gear 8-9 raid gear, what it used to be. I mean, Carvani's will always be needed, stun guns will always be needed, but like the fusion furnaces and the droid collars and those pieces, as your roster starts to push up into 10, you get such a stockpile of that just from currency pieces that you don't need to spend that as much anymore. And I just think I started doing that with the Datacron pieces, is just like maybe twice a week I would just dump some of that into Shard Shop currency and use it from the other side. But I think that's one of the interesting little changes that I think people are going to start having to look at, especially again as rosters collectively kind of push up, past that 8-9 point.
Yeah.
For a lot of these things.
That's a really good point. Right now, so in the guild store, like I buy certain pieces of gear, obviously,
Yep.
but that's gonna have to be something. And then, in Fleet, I've been buying Zetas, but I'm at the point with my Zetas that I'm like, I actually need to just buy the ships and get the Shard Shop currency
Yep.
because I have so many Zetas that I'm like, I'll buy the Zetas when I burn some of these, but and then they just stockpile again, which is exactly what
Yep.
I did with I think it was Starkiller. I gave him his Zetas and Omicrons and whatever, and then I stockpiled them again. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like and you realize for a material that you can't buy, you realize how quickly it does eventually stockpile
Yep.
when you're hoarding it, right? So I just have it's the Shard Shop currency that I'm like I need to convert more of that.
So it's amazing once you catch up, like with the Zetas. Once you catch up all of the Zetas you missed,
Yeah.
it's that there's the do I do this one and this one or that piece, how much it starts to build up. So I have enough for 7 Zeta mats right now, and I'm missing 16 total Zetas on my roster.
Yeah.
So and I mean, someone asked me that it was like, so what's coming with Farm Boy Luke? You just dropped 2 Zetas on. I'm like, I just want to be done with Zetas forever. Yeah.
You're like, I just wanted to give him his Zetas.
So, but again, I think it's another great point of just, at a certain point you get the stockpile of resources that it's training the muscles to reach down a little bit farther and just starting to buy maybe some of that ship currency to turn it into something that helps you in another place of the another place of the game.
Yeah, because I don't know how many I'm missing. I know I'm missing more than 16, but I sit on right now I have over 200 Zeta mats.
Okay.
So what's that? 8 Zetas?
That is
10 Zetas.
10. That is 10 Zetas.
So once I get there, I'm like, okay, and I just start buying ships, and that's that. And then you unlock the next Galactic Legend or the next Star Killer-esque character, and then I go back to that number, and it's good. But man, we weren't going to talk about Datacrons, but we got to go there. The thing that I'm realizing is we're going to have to, and this wasn't the case for sets 1, 2, and 3, but at least for me personally, I'm going to have to buy the actual physical Datacron from the store with Shard Shop currency now because I can't get them to drop. So, like, that's a huge chunk right there taken from me that I've got, plus the materials. So,
So, on the Datacron topic, as we were kind of prepping for the show, which also is a really weird thing because anytime I've ever been on a podcast, it's like, hey, Pico, you come on and talk about this. And I'm like, yeah. And I just show up and do it. Like, now you sent me earlier in the week, like, hey, so what are we going to talk about this week? And I'm like, oh, I have to help come up with the plan. Someone just doesn't tell me what to do. But we decided to table set 4 Datacrons out another 2 weeks because I think with all the changes, wanted to see how some of it shook out and instead of talking about what we expected to kind of for it to be like, maybe kind of wait till we got through a full conquest and kind of got a view of what these things look like. And then kind of talk about maybe strategically what we're going to do over the 2-month window. So we'll get there. And I'll be honest, listening to a lot of other folks talk about datacrons this week, I'm just done with the topic for the time being.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the thing. There was just so much to talk about in terms of the road ahead and Jabba and Boosh and all this stuff. So datacrons, I mean, we have 2 months to farm the materials now, so I'm not in a rush to build the perfect one. And then so that can wait, and Profundity can wait.
Yep.
So that's what you can expect in 2 weeks. Okay, so that's the entire road ahead post. That's it.
And then the one thing they added at the end is we'll see another one in November.
Yes.
So we're pushing up on, what is that, 2 months out. We'll see that because we're in September now, and November is the 11th month. September is the 9th. 11 minus 9 is 2. Like, I can do that math. So we're 2 months out.
I feel like you were just flexing on that because I'm just I hate math. And I'm here what's 200 zeta maths equal? Oh man, guys. Okay, so, which is, I thought they only did the road ahead every 3 months. So I'm just I feel very confused.
I did too, but I also think that's what leads me to believe territory battles is that, well, so I think there's 2 pieces to it. November is always the anniversary month, and we typically always get a road ahead that point. And also those sweet 20 zeta mats that are going to probably end up on I don't know, Gar Saxon or something like that for me by that point. So, and I think no one does anything in December. Let's be honest. I mean, let's not accuse CG of not working in December, because I don't work in December. I don't know if you work hard in December, but yeah, it's.
I don't work hard ever.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so I think is that all of the news that we want to talk about?
I think that's it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I feel like we kind of. Okay. Do we want to go over That's No Moon? We didn't really talk about this.
I think That's No Moon is really the road ahead. I think we kind of bled into the news piece, and that was I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, that statement was apt today at 6:00 my time when the other post, when we got the kit today, and then for Boosh, and then I got a message from you about 30 minutes later. We've got a lot to talk about today, and I'm like, yeah. And then I clicked and saw there was a road ahead, and I'm like, oh, hang on, I'll be right back. Was not expecting all of that as well. So
there is a lot of content.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's discuss the bantha, the negative thing, because I think I can be really brief about this.
Yep.
In my opinion, the negative thing is the changes to the Datacron drop rate in Conquest. I don't know how many refreshes you've done personally. I'm willing to bet you've done more than me. I usually only do the 50s, but I am doing. So I do right now on the Sector 1 Datacron node, which is the Datacron node that you're supposed to get the Datacrons or the data cache from. I do a resistance battle there. I do a first order battle there. And then I was doing the droid kills there. So I was doing 3 battles 3 times a day. So 9 battles a day. It's been not even 3 days of conquest. Let's call it 2.5. So let's say I've done 20-ish battles on that node. I've had 2 Datacrons drop.
Yeah.
And I have all of these materials that have converted, and I'm like, I can't use you.
And I think that's the cubes themselves. I think are. I've seen something similar, so I did it a little differently this time. Is I ran all the way to Sector 5 and got through Sector 5. I was really chasing the data disk, so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to finish one of the other ones. So I haven't hit a lot of those nodes, and I think I have like 3. Um, and so there's a couple of things, and I know there's some concern about at the same time, like the data cache, which was a barrier the last couple of rounds, and it was small here. But I got like 14 or 15 million data
Yeah.
cache back in the conversion process. So like some of this, I wonder if they're not scaling back on some of the reward, the mats, because we're going to start to see all these come back in. But you know, I'm torn on this. Like I found 10 or 15 level 3 datacrons to be overwhelming to try and manage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I very much paired them back to like, here are the 3 rank 9s, here are the the 2 or 3 rank 6, and I got rid of everything else. But uh, I need a lot to get started, and I'm just not seeing it right now. So
I think one of the side effects of this that will also happen, and it's already happened to one of our guildmates, is your data cache is going to cap.
yep,
Because you're only getting data cache now, and you can't spend it if you don't have the datacron to
yeah,
actually physically upgrade.
yep,
So you're just kind of sitting there collecting this data cache, and then what ends up, he actually thought he had a bug because he wasn't getting any rewards from the Sector 1 node, and I mean, he would have been getting data cache, but his data cache was capped, and it was this
yeah,
whole thing. So it's just like, yeah, it's. I feel like exactly what you said. Some of it's been scaled, some of it hasn't been scaled, and it doesn't feel quite balanced. And I'm hopeful because they did say that they would be paying attention to this.
yeah,
I'm hoping that they're seeing that and realizing that it's not. It was scaled too far.
yep.
So.
I think one of the challenges here are there's there's 4 levers that they pull right now in Datacrons. There's the cubes, there's the upgrade material, there's the reroll material, and there's the cache.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to play this very delicate game of adjust this one up a little bit, drop this one down, so that I think CG probably has a point that they want the average player to have X number of rank A, B, C, and D, or whatever that looks like. I think they're still trying to figure out where those sliders need to sit.
Yeah.
The other thing is I think we need to keep in mind is those numbers. We'll say it's 3 9s, it's 3 6s, and it's 5 3s is their goal. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Their goal for those numbers are probably the same, but it's now spread out over 2 months. So they're probably doing again, my guess would be it's a little bit of a case of, I don't want to give you all of them in month 1 and then give them to you in month 2. And then ultimately just, you have the same, the problem still exists that I have a massive number of datacrons that actually I think most people have more datacrons than they have teams right now, like built datacrons and teams. But we haven't adjusted kind of our point of view of, it's not a 30-day cycle, it's a 60-day cycle. But yeah, I'm getting anxious that I'm not going to get like a cool 9 coming out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. It's going into 3v3. 3v3 is terrible. I'll fall because I just don't like to play it.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing great when I come back into 5v5 because of that. So
yeah, that's the other side of it, right?
Yeah.
So okay. On that note, we can talk about things we actually like. We can go to I Love You, I Know. Because, we don't want to get too jaded, so let's talk about why we're still playing this game after 6 years, almost 7 years. Boy, yikes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about what we've enjoyed over the last few weeks. You haven't been on Pico in a while, so you have like a wild pick of everything here.
So I've got 2 that are top for me right now. The first is, and we'll talk about the profundity coming up, but I love what the profundity did to ship shard combat.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's balanced across the two. This is the first time that I have, because I wailed out. It's what I do. Um, I offered up to everyone on my shard, if you want me to pull off mods or change it out, let me know. And I had like, no, I beat you. So like that's perfect from that side. The biggest thing for the profundity right now is I still have to climb as far. I never lose. Like that's the most beautiful part about this, is that I don't have to worry about RNG. So it just makes the climb easier if I just know that I can just every 5 minutes I can pop in, and what a lot of people are finding, you do like 3 moves and you turn on auto, and the
Yeah.
fight's over. Like, man, that is just perfect. Uh, so it's great from that side. You unlocked it, right?
I did unlock it. I have it 5-star halfway to 6,
Okay.
which is great. Like I've used it in territory war with no like no fear. Basically, you know,
Yep.
you just kind of go in. You're like, okay, here we go. I agree with you. It hasn't really changed anything. The first day in my fleet shard, we had a little bit of back and forth of trying to figure out a couple of the profundities that were there, just to some of them like executor just wasn't countering it, and then eventually you were like, okay, you have to do this and this, and it worked fine. um it Yeah, it gives just a tiny bit more balance. It's not so
Yep.
overrun, and I don't think that's bad.
GAC will be very telling what the
Mm-hmm.
impact for that is, and we'll, again, we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But I just kudos to CG for bringing back the malevolence and negotiator level of counters into the game, and they pulled it off. Like I I think a lot of people were concerned that they were going to find a way to screw it up. Now again,
Mm-hmm.
they release Red 5, they release other ships. Who knows what's going to happen from that side? So that's the first one. The second, and again, I'm not backtracking what I'm saying. I still think the Omni situation with the Inquisitors is broken. Although territory battles are going to be great, but I love that team.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun to play, and like, look, send the hate mail my way. Actually, I had someone point out the other day that it's really hard to get a hold of me online, which I find shocking. But um, I love Inquisitor Galactic Challenges when they show up. Like when I wake up on a Friday morning and there's one there, I'm just so happy, because
Oh
it's
man.
just spinning AE attacks, and you're just hitting people over and over, and it's Second Sister comes in and actually hits for big damage, and Conquest, the first thing that I do every morning is I get a cup of coffee, I sit down, and the first 5 battles I do every morning are Inquisitors.
5 in a row.
Five in a row. I just it's whether it's the purge, whether it's kills, whether it's fights, and then when I'm just in the farming mode, that's the team that I start off with every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're just fun to use, and folks, again, I know the release wasn't the best,
Yeah.
and I think that there was some belief that it was there, but um, it's time we all Elsa this situation. Let it go. Just let it go. It's time to embrace where they're at, and I'm not telling you to go over Java, but it's time to maybe start dumping a little bit of pulls on the old shard meter for them, because I think people are going to enjoy using them in this territory battle and everything else. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So mine are not. They're not farmed. Like I'm slow farming them. I'm not
Yep.
doing refreshes on them. They're getting there. So I only use them in the Galactic challenges that we get, and then in Conquest. And even in Conquest, I mean, in both of those, I do like doing like the AoEs, and I like watching the assists happen. And the more that I've used them, the more that I've gotten used to their kit and like kind of how they work. And you want to cleanse purge so that you can keep applying more purge and all this fun stuff. But yeah, I agree. I think they maybe oversold the event.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm curious what Reva will do, because that's going to be something to think about.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be a puzzle piece for them. I'm assuming it's going to obviously go with them. So
I'm telling you right now, is I am not going to believe that she is going to fix the territory war PvP problem. In 30 days, I will have convinced myself she's going to fix the territory war PvP problem. Like, I am trying not to get excited about that, but I am going to essentially build her up to be probably the fourth most powerful character in the game, and is going to single-handedly kill JMK.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, for right now, I'm not believing it. But yeah, I'll talk myself into it by the end of the month.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm not ignoring them. I will say that. I also just really enjoyed Profundity. I will say I didn't think it through when I was getting, I bought a vault of crystals just to finish this off. I would have gotten a lot closer if no one ever believes me when I say this. It sounds like such tinfoil hat theory, but I upgraded Admiral Radis to 6-star while I was farming him. It was a critical mistake, and on the day of Profundity's release, I needed 7 shards. Okay? I did the 5 sims. I spent the 25 crystals. I did another 5 sims. Spent 50 crystals, did another 5 sims. At the end of the 50 crystals, so after the 15 sims, I needed 1 shard. I had to do both 100 refreshes, then the 200 refresh, and then the 400 crystal refresh to get 1 shard.
So I gotta ask, how many people in the Canadian government do you think are actively trying to hide Bigfoot from you?
Oh, man. All of them. I just couldn't. I was like, I need 1 shard, and I just kept going. Anyway, so that ate into my crystal stash heavily. So I really wish I had just bitten the bullet, though, and not that I have like FOMO or anything, but I didn't think about the fact that Lightside Territory Battles was here, and using Profundity and Lightside Territory Battles would have been amazing. But I'll get to do it next month, so that's fine.
So I was a sacrificial lamb today. I ran the Profundity mission, but I held back the Millennium Falcon. We wanted to see what would happen there. So it was Dash,
Mm-hmm.
the Y-Wing, and Cassian. It was harder than most fights with it, but it was still the easiest win that I have had in ships there. So I'm going to run it for the rest of the time. And the reason for that is, the Millennium Falcon is asked to be a platoon in a lot of cases, but I think I said this to you today. I think that we've solved the ship problem.
Yeah.
In Lightside Territory Battles,
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, just get all of the
then of course I dropped a wave with Gas because he was too powerful and Snips didn't die. So of course I won't get my perfect. I thought I was finally I was targeting for a perfect, and
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
I didn't even do anything in phase 1.
Oh really?
Yeah, I had a really hectic, I had appointments all day long, like both days of phase 1. And I was like, I'm not going to get to my combats until 7-ish hours before the phase ends. And I was like, this is no problem. And I'm like, oh, it's all done. Okay.
If that's not a sign it's time for new territory battle, when the hardest one in the game, people are like, oh yeah, I just didn't get to it, and we still maxed out the stars in that phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just did the special mission, and it felt weird. I was like, I don't even need to move mods because I have Kenobi. I have all of the cheat code characters. So okay.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun, but okay. So let's carry on. I didn't even look at Discord. I feel like, oh man. For any questions, I don't remember seeing any. There have been questions just flowing into the chat, which I think we've done a pretty good job of looking at. It's been a lively chat today.
It has been. We didn't. I think honestly, the only real question in the Discord channel this week was me trying to be a little bit of a troll and asking who the new host was going to be. So
I did laugh at that. I did find it entertaining. Oh man. Okay, so do we want to look at the meta report for Fleet? Like, do we want to see what's changed with profundity?
Yeah, I think actually that might be a little interesting. I'll be honest, I don't know how to look at it.
Oh man, I've pulled it up. I've got it. Um, it was at like 90 something percent for Executor three or
Yep.
4 weeks ago. Okay, and it's dropped. It's at 81%, drastically dropped to 81% Executor, and 13% Profundity.
So my guess would be that 13% represents every profundity in the game, probably.
Yeah, whether it's 4-star, 5-star,
Yep.
like all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is, I mean, it's a drop. I'm curious what that will be at next month. I'm also curious if people are going to, chase it as hard as they felt like maybe they needed to chase it after seeing how it's been doing.
Yeah. I'll be surprised. I don't think that people will. I think that because 4-star is beating Executor.
Yeah.
And it's an AI problem. And again, please don't fix it. It's great where it is. And I think that people will probably slow farm it up that way until probably until the new territory battle rolls around, and all of a sudden it becomes a critical piece of success from that side. But again, and I'm look, as long as my climb is easy,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that I can be beaten by a 4 or 5-star. I just, I have a very inactive ship shard from that side, so I'm cool with it at this point.
Yeah. That's all that really matters. I mean, it's not a total, and I think this is the main thing is based off how it's performing, how it's holding. It's not a total domination the way Executor is
Yep.
or was. That I don't think a lot of people are necessarily going to go crazy to. I think it's great to have it, but I don't think you need to go crazy in terms of chasing it and upgrading it.
Yep.
So, except for obviously territory battles, like you said, because you need 7 stars to use it there.
Yep.
Okay, so that takes us to the very last segment. Uncle Owen's moisture farm. Woo, we're having problems today. So, let's talk about what we're farming. Because, yeah.
I've been going first all night. Why don't you go first?
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm slow farming the Inquisitors. It's annoying, but it's fine. Actually, a few of them are almost... So Second Sister's been 7-star for a while. And then I think I have 2 that are within like 20-ish shards.
Okay.
The hurdle is, I want to say, is it Fifth Brother that's in Cantina?
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't touched him at all. So, I mean, the good thing is it's Cantina. So when I want to farm him, it'll be done in 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, it's all Inquisitors right now. Oh, I am. This is so embarrassing. My Embo's not farmed. I realized this because I started the Lord Vader journey and just in the game to kind of see where I was, and I was like, oh, I don't have Embo. So the great news is he's accelerated.
Yeah. Is he a drop character or was he a store character?
I'm not sure. For whatever reason, I didn't farm him. And I don't know why I didn't farm him. But he's on a regular node. Like, he's on regular energy.
Yeah.
He's not in Cantina.
Okay.
So I don't know if he got moved after his initial drop or what the deal was. But, yeah, I never finished him. So I'm working on him, too.
Okay.
What are you farming?
So job requirements, although really for me, it's everyone's up there. I've got Carstanton. I just collect shards or crystals now, so I got him out of the shipment shop. Scando is he's as high as he can get to. I'll boosh up a little bit, but I'll make a run at them right away. The big thing for me right now, and I mentioned it earlier, so I am actively trying to have all of the Zetas in the game. It's
I
I've
love
got
this.
some of the hits left. I'm missing Gar, I'm missing Bodhi, I'm missing like a lot of the original rebels. Like this week, the two that I applied this week were Grandmaster Yoda's leadership
Okay.
and Darth Nihilus's leadership.
How did I miss this in
So
game?
so like my goal is to try and do two a month. Now that'll all get blown away when when Java takes all of my extra ones from that side. But yeah, I want to be done with Zetas and again just go into compounding numbers and just allow them to collect forever. So
Yeah.
or as I didn't even think about this, as you said, just turn it all into Shard Shop and go from there. So
Yeah. Oh man, that's like, I don't know why I made 200 my imaginary like boundary number, but that's my safety net. And after that, I'm like, okay, we can just
yeah.
buy Shard Shop here. So
Yep.
yeah. Okay, I think that does it.
That's it.
That's it.
Only an hour and a half. That's actually short for us.
I know. Do you have any other final thoughts? This was your first like official episode.
No, look. There's. I'm still trying to figure out where the coffee machine is. I got to get my badge. I actually need one of those cool cartoony avatar picture things now because I'm an official content creator. So I gotta jump on that bandwagon. No, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm excited. Again, it's my only drawback to this is like I was thinking today like, what am I going to do when I go to the gym Friday morning when I listen to HNN? Like great. I'm gonna have to find something else to do in that case. So it's but no, I'm really excited about this. So I appreciate the opportunity and folks go easy on me a little bit as I get my legs underneath me. So
It's gonna be good. I'm pumped.
yep.
All right. So that's it. That's everything for today. So thank you everyone for joining us, whether you listened on the podcast or you're here hanging out on YouTube, which is awesome. Chat's been super lovely, lively, lovely. It's all of the above. I can't speak today. But we'll be back in 2 weeks. And until next time, that ought to do it.